Hi, welcome to the Reloading Podcast. This is episode 7, the NRA Recap. I'm your co-host, Mike Iceland, along with our other co-host tonight, Jim Fleming. Jim got to go to the NRA convention, so he's going to tell us about what he saw and who he got to meet.
That's right. I got to meet the editor of the ABCs of Reloading, and he has asked me to collaborate with him on a possible 10th edition of the ABCs Reloading.
That's a huge thing. Yeah, I saw you posted that in the reloading room the other day, so that's awesome. So what was your favorite part of the NRA convention?
Meeting Mr. James.
Okay.
To tell you the truth, that was my favorite part. To me, he's like a celebrity. You know, hey, I've read everything the guy wrote in the ABCs of Reloading, you know?
Yep.
I've already been warned that if the reloading room gets mentioned in his next potential book, I have to take and make sure everyone knows that this is not a sure thing. It's only a potential. He's considering it, and he's asked us to give him some input. That's all it is right now at the moment. He may not find he has enough material to justify a new book, and if he doesn't, so be it. But anyway, no, I've already been told that if the reloading room and Facebook, the reloading room gets mentioned in his book, we'll probably have to add at least 20 more admins, and I've got 16 now.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah, good problem to have. The reloading room grows to 50,000 members.
That'd be a definite good thing. After all, that's what we're after, is to get more people there, get more people here, and get more people enjoying our hobby with us. So that'd definitely be a good problem to have.
That's right. And you know what, Mike, you're right, absolutely right. And I'm kind of neglecting the Reloading podcast a little bit on that particular aspect. For those of you that listen to this podcast only, make your comments on the show notes. If you have suggestions to what you think might be good ideas for the next book, ABCs of Reloading, edition 10, or if you have some questions you would like to see answered in the book, put them up, follow up in the comments on the show notes.
Definitely. That's a good way to make sure you get a hold of us, or just put them on the Google Plus page too, and we'll get them there also. So, how many miles did you walk, or are you not quite sure?
Well, like I just told you before we went on the air, Friday I walked all day. From 9 to, I took about a half-hour break, walked all day. That place has 9 acres under roof. And I walked every row, every corridor.
What was your favorite booth?
All of them.
Well, that's obvious.
The booth I spent, I'm trying to think which booth did I spend the most time at. Oh, geez. Well, a lot of it was the fact that I'm rather familiar with the NRA convention. I've been attending them since the Charlotte convention, and I haven't missed one yet. And I started meeting friends there. They actually come up to me and recognize me from the exposure in the reloading room and the other podcasts I used to do. And I had one guy literally walk up to me and say, "Excuse me, your name's Jim?" Because our credentials that we carry around, you saw in that photo that I just sent you, our credentials don't give out names. And he says, "Your name, Jim?" I says, "Yes." Kind of spooky when, you know, a total stranger walks up to you and he says, "Hi, I'm Steve R." And it's like, okay, I know who you are. Spooky.
That's a cool thing, though.
Yeah, it's I didn't run into, but I actually stopped Tom Gresham in mid-stride. All I did walk past him, and I recognized who he was, and I says, "It's good to see you again, Mr. Gresham." That's exactly all I said. And he turned around and says, "Who's recognizing me?" And I told him, yeah, and I told him how I was, and I says, "I haven't spoken to you since Charlotte." He says, "Okay, I remember." Yeah, okay. Mr. Gresham, nobody remembers me.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah, it could be.
Uh, Definitely, he's a fun one to listen to. He's got a lot of different topics he covers on his shows. So if
Well,
anybody doesn't listen to it, it's Gun Talk. He's got an Android app. He's got a iPhone app. He's got just the regular podcast you can download through iTunes or Stitcher or the different various things. And he also does it live, so you may want to check guntalk.com and see if you can actually catch the live broadcast on a local radio station.
that's exactly right. If you hadn't used the Gun Talk URL, I was going to take and throw it right in there. Good job, Mike. Thank you, sir.
That's why we work well together. We think alike.
We do. We are working very well together. I did spend some time at the Fort Knox booth. I actually spent $3,000 out there.
Oh,
at
cool.
The Fort Knox booth. I bought a vault. I bought the big, large 44 gun vault. And
Very nice.
It's like, yeah, it's the basic model of that size, but all the money that I'm spending is being devoted to the quality of the safe. I don't need or want the electronic dial. I just don't think that's necessary. Matter of fact, I don't trust the electronic dial. Because the thing is, when the batteries fail, then you pull the front off, and then you got to go in there with a key. Well, what was the point? If you lose the key, you're never mind. You get the idea.
Yep, that's why the one sitting behind me that everybody can see has a spin dial. So
right.
that one's from Gander Mountain. It's a Liberty, which I got on a deal, and that was before I started hearing about Fort Knox through the gun dudes. So, but yeah, my next safe is going to be a Fort Knox.
Well, you see, that's just it. The Fort Knox, everywhere I go, every person I talk to, and I put my question in front of 10,000 people, and the majority of them were talking Fort Knox, Fort Knox, Fort Knox, Fort Knox, Fort Knox. Yeah, there's some Liberties, there's some cannons and stuff like that, but everybody likes to boost what they have. You've got a Liberty behind you, you've got a Gander Mountain behind you, but it's made by Liberty.
Yep.
Nothing wrong with Liberty, but I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, Liberty is probably, from what I've seen, Liberty is the second best. Fort Knox, they put so much extra into it, and the biggest thing that I've heard that Fort Knox does that they don't, that some of the competitors don't, is the bottom's actually built too. Whereas most of the rest of them, the bottom's just a thin piece of tin because they expect you to bolt it down, and some people who rent, like me, I can't put concrete anchors into the floor. So, that's an issue. So.
Well, here's a tidbit for you that you can do. You could take a piece of OSB, make it about 3 inches smaller side than that safe is, and you can secure down through your carpeting with 3-inch drywall screws.
Yep.
And some 1/4-inch flat washers, and you can secure it down to that wooden floor. I assume it's a wooden floor.
Yeah, I've got it secured. So it's
Good.
not with concrete anchors. So yeah, it's secured. It's not coming up. So
good. But the next thing on the agenda, well, I try my best to avoid. I spent some time at Sinclair booth. Those guys, they've got good reloading equipment.
Yeah. Brownells is a sponsor of the Firearms Radio Network, and one of the things we're eventually working towards, hopefully, and I emphasize hopefully, is something along the lines of what Jake does with Brownells, where he has one of the guys come on and does a product of the week, where they talk about a product every week. That's what we're kind of working towards with Sinclair's, trying to get all the details worked out and everything. That hopefully that'll happen. Jake's working with that to try and make that happen at some point in time here, where they're going to come on and do a product of the week with us, talking about different reloading stuff that they've got, whether it's their private stock or some of the other stuff that they carry.
Sounds good. I did talk to several people. I took 350 business cards with me. I came back with about 50, but it sounds like real. Fort Knox might actually be interested in working a deal too. They said that they took my business card, and they'll contact their own PR people and so on and so forth. I guess that's the way corporate has to do it.
Yeah.
They have to take and go through their own people, get their own lawyers, and figure out their own needs and so on and so forth. And that makes sense.
Absolutely. That'd be a great sponsor to have. Like I said, I got this one behind me before I'd heard about them. But my next one definitely is going to be. Right now, what I'm looking at is a lockbox for the vehicle for concealed carry.
They have good ones too.
That's on my saving list right now.
Yep.
So, unfortunately, I haven't become independently wealthy yet. So, now, just so you know, all of you who are out there listening, Jim and I are more than happy to take any donations of any product or swag you guys want to send us. Not a problem. Just give us a message. We'll get your address. We're more than willing to take any product you want to send us.
I quite agree. I have a question for you, Mike. It's kind of unrelated to the topic we're at hand, but is there any way you can cause a timer to be displayed?
I don't know.
I'm just curious more than anything else. I think we started about quarter after.
I think that's part of that toolbox program that I can't get to download, so I'm gonna have to play with that some more
Okay, no problem. No problem at all. Geez, I'd have to go through. Matter of fact, I can go through my photos to take and actually use my photos as more or less as my notes for the various things, boosts and stuff that I liked.
Yeah.
Here we go. C. Rodney James. Oh, I know what I didn't tell you. I joined the Second Amendment Foundation for Life.
Okay, awesome.
Well, I know we don't generally talk a lot of politics, which is probably a wise thing to do, but my point is, it's all about the Second Amendment, and so
right.
So I'm no politician, and what I would do is just annoy people if I start arguing politics with them. So I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Ran into other members of the Reloading Room. I got to spend a little time watching Todd Jarrett do a shooting seminar, per se. It's like a self-defense seminar.
Oh, cool.
And he's a good man. There's my Fort Knox safe. Matter of fact, I should put that up, but that's all right. The next year, Mike, this is for you. Put this in your calendar.
Yep.
Nashville, April 10 through 12.
Yeah.
Be there or be square.
Yeah. The two plans I have for next year that I'm working on saving up for are Nashville and then also the SHOT Show in Vegas. So that is something my wife's already been notified that I'm saving up for and working towards. So, and we're definitely going to be media credentials at both. So.
Excellent. The other thing is too, when we go off the air. Well, matter of fact, no, I won't do that. I'm going to tell you a little tidbit. Go on to this is available to John Q. Public, so I might as well tell you. Make a note, write it down if you have to. NRAAM.org. NRAannualmeeting.org. Go on there. 1st of June, 2nd of June, 3rd of June when they said they're going to turn it on. Make your lodging reservations. Get close. We were so close that we literally walked a skywalk from the hotel. We stayed in the old Union Station. It's now called the Crown Royal Hotel. Crown Plaza, my bad. Crown Plaza Hotel, which was the old Union Station in Indianapolis. We were so close that we actually did not start the car.
That's a good thing.
Yes, we were literally the buildings are contiguous. It's from across the skywalk, go across the street, and there we were. I forget the name of the street we crossed, but it was just great. Convenient, convenient, convenient. That's the whole point, Mike, about getting your lodging early. Is we made our lodging reservations 1 year early, and we're actually staying in the same place as a lot of the exhibitors have been staying.
That works out nice. I've had that a couple of conventions I've gone to where you're at the same place as the exhibitors, and it allows you, to sit there and talk to them a little bit before
Pick
or
their
after.
brains.
Yep.
Yep. Pick their brains. Just like you and I pick each other's brains after you shut off the feed. No, it's a fact of life. But
Yeah.
a last tidbit, and it's like I don't want. It's not the most important thing. That's why we're going in at reverse order. Boy, I wish I'd learned to speak. Sorry about my stuttering. Anyway, we stayed in the Crown Plaza Hotel, and it was the old train station. But what was interesting is they have 12 train cars in there berthing cars, the old Pullman cars that they actually converted into hotel rooms.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it's just extraordinary. You step out of your hotel room and wham, there's a railroad car right in your face.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yep, it was.
Those old Pullman cars are really neat.
Yep. Big, long suckers, and they had all kinds of paper mache statues around. Well, one of the things I told the bellman that whoever placed the statues had a heck of a sense of order, had a heck of a sense of humor, because one of the paper mache statues, an old guy in the 40s, maybe even the 30s, with a fedora on, and he's got his wallet out and he's taking out paper currency to tip the bellman right beside the bellman's stand.
That's cool.
Yeah, but it was a good time. It really was, folks. It's probably not what you want to hear about. This is a reloading podcast, but I'm sorry, we just had to take and get into that a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. The NRA convention's a big thing. Definitely, we need to cover into that, and then kind of it's not just the convention itself. It's all the stuff that goes around with it, and the sightseeing and stuff like that. And
yes, Dylan was there. Hornaday was there. I don't think Lee Precision was very well represented there for whatever reason. I don't know. I don't know why Mr. Lee doesn't make a point to go there. Hornaday was there. RCBS. RCBS had a big display, as big as Hornaday. Reloading was very well represented at the convention, folks.
That's good.
They have They have press accessories. I think his outfit's name is Giselle, just like the lady's name, Giselle. And they make a bullet feeder that fits onto the onto the Dillon presses. Automatic bullet feeder onto the 650.
Oh, cool.
Yep. That way it becomes just about truly automatic. You index it with the handle. If everything goes well, you get a loaded round every time, and you don't have to touch a bullet. But anyway, to tie this all up a bow, like I was saying, the highlight of the show was the fact that I bumped into C. Rodney James, the editor for the definitive guide for novice to expert of the ABCs of Reloading. Yes, you're hearing me turn the pages of my copy of the 9th edition. But anyway, yep. Okay.
So, what did you have to talk with him about? What all did you talk to him about?
Well, as I said, I don't know if we were on the air or not, but he actually asked me to collaborate with him a little bit to get some ideas from the Facebook group, the Reloading Room, and now from the Reloading podcast page, the Google Plus Reloading podcast page, get some ideas for material that should be covered in the next book. And also, he suggested that I get some questions that he would consider. I'll have to take, I will screen questions, You know, and if anything I think to be a waste of time, I won't present to Mr. James.
Mm-hmm.
But anything that he may have covered or anything like that, um, the office is going to be there. The new powders. He's going to list all the new powders. All the old powders are no longer available. That will be deleted from the book. Old equipment that is no longer being manufactured, that won't be in the book. But the new stuff will be. The only thing is with that is, if the book publishes, I'm sorry, if the presses become active on the 12th of the month, and a product comes out on the 13th, I'm sorry, it's too late. That product should have been out probably a month before the 12th.
Right.
That's the way paper or printed media is.
Yeah, that's the only drawback to printed media is the fact that it's a finite amount of time before you can actually put stuff in. Once they've started the printing process, they can't really, quote, stop the presses, unless it's a newspaper, but then they wind up throwing a bunch of crap out. So it's a Hollywood dream that once you start something that you can actually stop it. They don't even do that for newspapers anymore unless it's a huge event, and we haven't had anything that dramatic, I guess, according to the news, in quite some time. So, but
Yes.
Anybody who wants to add anything that they think should be covered, go to the Reloading Room. There's a thread on there in the Reloading Room on Facebook where you can go in and you can put your your suggestion.
I will bump that up tonight after we get off the air. Okay. Did you want to cover a little bit of actual reloading topic tonight?
Sure.
I guess we should. That's the name of the podcast.
Yeah, we can. We can just kind of. So here's something that I'm not really familiar about, since we were talking about case prep. One of the gentlemen that follows us had posted on one of the videos that I did by myself, where I was loading some 40 Smith & Wesson. I loaded lead for the first time, and he said something about doing an extra step to the mouth to get the lead bullets to seat without shearing any of the lead off. Have you done that before?
Well,
flanging it, flaring it?
Yeah, flaring it, right. What I believe he's trying to do is suggest to you to flare it a little bit more. You can take your deburring tool and you can actually put a light chamfer on the inside of the case mouth.
Yeah.
Light, I'm saying, to take and help cut away, remove that square sharp edge that you're going to get on factory new or once fired brass. But you can take, and once it's flared, you can actually add a little tiny bit more taper, but you have to be sure that your bell mouth is a proper name for it, or expansion, whatever you want to call it. But yet you get that flared out enough so that a lead bullet should actually begin to sit down in it without tipping whatsoever.
Okay. So is there a special tool you can get to use to do that flaring with, or is it just kind of setting you'd use in your sizing die, or what's the best way to get that flare in there?
Well, we would cover that. We haven't gotten that far in the case prep, but the way to do that is to simply, the deburring tool you know about.
Yep.
The other tool I'm talking about is the case expansion tool.
Okay.
You just simply drive it in there a few thousandths more at a time until you get enough flare that the bullet sits down in. I mean, literally, the heel of the bullet begins to sit down inside of the case.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely.
Are you talking about, are these bullets that you're using, are they swage bullets or are they cast bullets?
They're cast.
Okay, they probably have a sharp square corner at the heel of the bullet. Am I right?
I don't remember, honestly. I think they do have a bit of a round to them, a little bit. Okay. They're not set up like a copper jacketed or anything like that, where it's a regular flat bottom. They're not like a wad cutter.
Do you have this would destroy the video feed, but do you happen to have one of those bullets that you could put in front of your camera?
I can go grab one quick if you want to entertain the.
I don't mind.
All right.
I don't mind.
Regale them with your stories, and I'll be right back.
Well, go right ahead. There's one guy that's probably following us by the name of Kevin Bliss. I hope, Kevin, I hope you get a chuckle out of this. You actually got mentioned on here. Kevin, you rascal, you made my day when you said, Jim, you're half the reason why I'm here. And thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate it. While Mike's gone, the next step in the case prep, as I recall, would be we got the cases all inspected. We're checking the primer pockets, go clean them out with a square tool of some kind or another. A lot of people use a little bitty Craftsman screwdriver for cleaning out the primer pockets. You just run it in there and scrape it, or you could take and remove it from the screwdriver and chuck it up in your drill press or in a hand drill or a cordless drill, whatever you want to do, and use that for cleaning out the primer pocket and all that sort of thing. Don't forget, though, in your case prep, once you get it out of the tumbler, I don't even know if we've gotten that far, but when you take it out of the tumbler, you have to be sure that the flash holes are absolutely crystal clear, because that will interfere with the flash getting in from the primer itself up into the powder cavity. So, oh, there's Mike. He's coming back. At least he's on camera. But anyway, I said some mean and terrible things about you while you were gone, Mike. You can't even hear me. It's like, there he is. He's back.
I'm back.
I said all kinds of mean, wicked, nasty, and terrible things about you while you were
probably
gone.
True. They're all probably true.
Okay.
So we'll see if we can.
Hold it. Yeah, hold it still for me. I want to see the bullet base.
Come on, focus on it, not me. See if I move out of the way, if it'll focus on it.
Yeah. Can you stand it up on top of a drinking glass or something? That'll work. No, it's not tall enough. You'll figure it out. I don't mind, Mike. I hope the folks will put up with us amateurs. That's all.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. Can you actually see it, or does it wash out?
It's washing out. Put something black on top of that white box. Okay, good. Good. That works.
Yeah.
Now, if you would, stand the bullet on those. Yeah, stand the bullet on its nose. Yes, okay, folks, what we're trying to show you is there's a bevel on that heel of that bullet. Okay, it's cast, it's in the mold, and so on and so forth. What you want to do is you want to take and get that bevel just about completely inside the case mouth before you ever see it. You want it to sit in there with just set it there, and its own weight, it sits down inside. I want to say that bevel is probably about 1/16 of an inch tall.
Yeah.
That's how deep you want the bullet to sit inside the case. Just to the point where the bevel actually enters them is even with or below the mouth. You don't want to go any deeper, because then you're going to have other kinds of problems with having too much flare.
Yeah.
Okay, Mike, I think we got that. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Not a problem.
But that's what I run into that with cast bullets, with square heels, and the round cast bullets, or the ones with gas checks, are kind of a problem, because they're so much harder that the gas check is so much harder than the lead. It'll actually drive itself expand the brass on its own.
Aha.
Yeah, but you get lead bullets like that. What is that, a 9 or a 40?
40.
Yeah. That looks like a pretty nice bullet.
Yeah, they're from Acme Bullet Company. They're here in Wisconsin, actually, in Germantown. So I got them from one of my local reloading shops that's up in Sauk City called Recap's. So they also do online. So they're a pretty good shop. They usually keep it Because they do a lot of volume with powder and everything, they usually have a pretty good selection of powder in stock, actually.
Sounds good to me. A lot of folks, if you'd put that in the show notes, it'd be they would appreciate it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I'll make sure to take and put the URL for the show notes over in the reloading room in my weekly thread that I just started today. And this way, maybe we'll get some folks from the reloading room over to the Reloading podcast.
Yeah.
But anyway, where were we on case prep? I was trying to winging it on my own, but I knew I couldn't really cover a whole lot in a few minutes that you were gone.
Let's see. Last we talked about...
I know we talked about inspection.
I know, yeah, that was pretty much the last of it. I don't know if we really got into checking headspace and everything like that.
No, that I know we haven't. One of the things I said while you were gone was the fact that as the final part of the inspection is when you tumble your brass after you decap it, or even before you decap it. You know, I was talking about cleaning out the primer pockets after you decap it, resize it. You push the primer out, and you're going to have primer ash in the pocket, and that's what I was talking about. Using the tool, you can use a little tiny Craftsman screwdriver, the old-fashioned kind.
Yep.
And scrape that out with that. You know, there's any number of tools. I use a carbide scraper, but I had access to a tool room, and I had solid carbide rod, and I just took a piece of 3/16 roll, ground it down about 2/1000 below the diameter of primer pocket, and I have a large primer pocket scraper, and I have a small primer pocket scraper.
Ah.
But you know,
I've got a tool from Lee that works really well.
Right. Yeah. The only thing with those kind of tools is like the RCBS one or the Lee one in particular, is they do get loaded up with primer ash.
Yeah, you do have to clean them from time to time.
Yep. So that was the next step, is cleaning out the primer pocket. Plus two, I made mention of making sure the flash hole was clear from from tumbling media. But we really haven't gotten into tumbling the brass as far as case inspection goes.
Yeah, we kind of touched on some of the different ways to tumble, but nothing. We really didn't get much farther than that on what you do once you pull them out of the tumbler and really going into the checking. So, but
well, that's probably a good thing to actually cover, because that goes hand in hand with inspection.
Yep.
What I'm talking about is the fact that the tumbler is used to clean the brass, and you can use it later on for removing lubricant. That's another story for another podcast. But tumbling is a good way to clean and shine it. Once it's clean, it's going to be rather easy to inspect, looking for cracks, splits at the mouth, dents in the body. You know, like if you rifle brass out of an AK, they're pretty severe on the brass. The AKs, I mean, they're pretty tough on brass. So are HAs. HKs are actually worse. They'll actually put a crease in there that actually weakens the brass if you don't do something about it. But that's gunsmithing.
Yep.
But no, tumbler. Well, it's on how much money you want to spend, because there's any number of ways of doing it. There's two categories of tumbling. Primarily, two categories. Primarily, most folks use a vertical vibratory tumbler, and walnut hulls or ground corncob media.
Yeah, we talked about the tumblers, and you mentioned about getting the lizard bedding from
right.
Petco.
Right, I did.
So. And
there's different treatments you can add to that. The other method is, as Mike is alluding to, is the rotary method. And I don't want to make this a whole podcast, but the rotary method, you use same media, or you can use a wet method where you actually take stainless steel pins, fine pins, and tumble that with your brass. And they say that's actually better for cleaning, because the stainless steel pins will actually clean the gunpowder residue from the inside of the case. And Now that's a wet method. When you're all done with that, you have to, of course, dry your brass.
Yeah.
That adds a couple steps, that's all.
And there's a couple different ways to do that. You can air dry them. I've seen people set up like a fan to blow on them. The most efficient yet the most touchy way is to put them in the oven. The problem with that is if your oven doesn't have a setting where you can set it low enough to, like, say 150, 160, you run into an instance where you can actually change the composition of the brass by overheating it. It runs typically, if you get it 200 or more and you get it really start to get it warm, it actually discolors the brass, and that's a way to tell that it's been overheated.
Right.
And then it's no longer safe to use because it's too soft.
Well, that it would have to get pretty hot for that, but I don't want to dispute what you're saying. But there is another place in everybody's house that's a good place to dry your brass, and that's set it on a towel on top of a water tank. Constant gentle heat. And
that's a good idea.
And of course you want to dry your brass as much as you can. Take and hold 4 corners of a big bath towel, put your wet brass inside that bath towel, jiggle your hands or roll your hands up and down, rolling the brass in between, almost like a tumbler would, but that'll take and knock out 95% of the water. And then you take and set your brass in a small basket or container on top of your hot water heater in your house, and that will dry your brass. It won't dry it instantly, but it will dry it probably overnight.
Hang on just a second, Jim.
All right. Anyway, I learned that trick about drying brass on the hot water tank a long time ago, when that's exactly what I did. Is I was washing my brass before I ever got a tumbler. Here she comes, or here comes somebody. But anyway, I learned that trick about drying brass at home years ago when I was actually washing my brass to try and get it clean. And it's before I ever knew about the Lemmy Shine process. The Lemmy Shine process is you buy Lemmy Shine detergent, and it's mostly citric acid. And Dawn is to act as a degreaser, and you put the brass in that solution wet, and you wet it down, wash it out, so on and so forth. And yes, there's a formula in the Reloading Room on Facebook where there's a formula posted in a document put out by an old friend of mine, Alan Turner, and it's called Lemmy Shine Dawn, and it works. I've never used it. I can't boost it, but I've seen enough people. I can't boost it for personal experience, but I've seen enough people, well over 1,000 people, photos of people putting up their bragging rights in their brass. It works. I'm convinced. Trust me, it works. I've been in the loading room for 3 years. I've seen thousands of pictures go up of Lemmy Shine brass.
Yeah, it's definitely quite a bit different. It does make it quite a bit nicer.
Well, that's the idea. The thing is, everybody wants to have good-looking brass. You want your brass to be pretty. It's not a safety issue or anything like that. It's a quality issue. It's a personal issue. It's something you can be proud of.
Yeah. Yeah, you want it to look really nice and shiny, and it also helps you to be able to, as you were saying earlier, it helps you be able to find the cracks and the, maybe the small dents and stuff to identify case weakening, so you don't have to have a blowout when you're using that brass because you didn't catch it because it wasn't clean enough and you thought it was just dirt.
One thing that you'll find as you gain more experience is you'll learn to listen to your brass. Have you ever heard of what I call a clinker? It's an old term. You talking about coal residue in a furnace, but the clinkers I'm talking about is you'll hear a split case split on the side, and you'll hear it ringing not true. A good brass has a nice bell, clear as a bell ring to it when it tumbles around. whatever, but you'll hear that split brass every time if you're paying attention to it, and you keep digging around in it, you'll hear it, and sooner or later you find out with your fingers, and it's like, well, it's a clinker. But that's experience loading is what that is.
All right. What else should we be looking for when you're inspecting that brass?
Well, we've covered just about everything when that
Okay.
goes, and then we've dried the brass out from the shine. We've some of the folks like me, I just use walnut hulls, and I haven't bought new media in 4 years. I had a 10-pound bag and I still got half of it, so it's like it lasts me for a while. But I also use the Lyman recharging solution in my tumbler also on occasion when it needs it. But anyway, so once you got your brass dried, you got it all out of you got all the media out, you've inspected it, and so on and so forth, and you got the primer pockets all clear and ready. I think we're actually ready to start reloading.
Okay. Well, why don't we, since that's going to be quite involved, why don't we hold off on that for now, and we'll start that with our next one.
Nice segue, Mike. That wasn't even intentional. I'm okay with that. It's been about 45 minutes, so I'm okay with that.
All right. So, anything else you want to mention to the gang before we go?
Oh, well, I did forget one important personal thing. I did upgrade my membership from endowment member to patron level in the NRA, National Rifle Association.
Okay.
But that's personally. But the only thing I would say to you, the podcast listeners out there, I know you're out there, and I know you listen to me, and so on and so forth. But join the NRA, join the National Rifle Association. We need you. I'd say, like Tom Gresham says, it gets tiresome carrying everybody. Guys like me, guys like Mike, we're members.
Yep.
And it's like, join the National Rifle Association. And there's another one. Thank you. I just thought of something. If you're interested, I did create a Facebook group called NRA. It is not affiliated with the National Rifle Association in any way, and they have actually sent official communiques to me asking me to be sure everyone knows the NRA group I created is not the National Rifle Association page, but it is a page that supports the National Rifle Association. But anyway, you can get anything you want as in the way of information, but you can join the NRA directly through www.nra.org. And Mike will put that in the show notes, if you would, please.
Yep.
But
absolutely.
Yeah, join the NRA, folks. That's what I got to say.
There is an estimate, depending on who you ask, of anywhere from 80 to 100 million firearms owners in this country. There's less than 5 million NRA members. Something's wrong with that picture, gang. I'm tired of hearing I don't agree with their politics. I don't agree with this. I don't agree with that. Bullcrap. Absolute bullcrap. If you don't like what's going on in the NRA, join up and change it. They have elections. They have elections every year. You can vote on them after you've been a standing member for 3 years in a row. Or is it 5 now? No, it's 5 now.
It's 5.
Sorry. If you're a standing member for 5 years, or if you're a life member, you can, as soon as you pay your life membership off, you can start voting, and you can have a say on who's going to be on the board. There is 75 members on the board, 75 or 76, and they're 3-year terms. So every year at the annual meetings, they're introducing 25 new members to the board. And if you really want to change things, that's how you do it. But they have 5 million members. Probably they estimate about half of those are actually eligible to vote. Out of those half that are eligible to vote, it's probably about the same as what you're looking at is percentage for the national elections. For the big presidential elections, you're probably looking about 25 to 35% actually vote. So,
Right.
get involved. Second thing you can do is join the Second Amendment Foundation. Alan Gottlieb is the person who brought Heller to the Supreme Court.
Right.
He brought McDonald to the Supreme Court, which are the
Right.
two cases that guaranteed the Second Amendment is an individual right, and it's guaranteed that the Second Amendment is an individual right to the states, not just federal districts.
Right.
They've got a bunch of irons in the fire right now that they're trying to, through judicial, get more of our rights back. And the third thing, there's midterm elections coming up this fall. Get off your butt. Go register to vote. Find out what your candidate in your area feels about firearms. The NRA grades everybody, but you can contact their office and continue to send them emails if they don't answer you, and tell them you want to know. If they come back and they say they're a gun supporter, check their voting record, because that's the biggest thing. Two other people that are in my area, Tammy Baldwin, who represents me, says she's sent me responses saying she's pro-gun. She's voted against every pro-gun bill that's come up in the last 6 years, whether she was in the House or now that she's in the Senate. I know she's not pro-gun, even though she's said it. So politicians lie all the time. Mark Pocan has said he's pro-Second Amendment, and he's not. So right now I'm waiting where you've got a gubernatorial race here. Scott Walker, who's not really popular, he has signed into legislation quite a few different bills and had a couple, including concealed carry. He also signed the Shooting Range Protection Act, which means now shooting ranges are no longer liable for idiots on the range. The idiots themselves are responsible. The second thing is they can't try and zone the shooting ranges out of existence, and they can't say that there's noise complaints about the shooting ranges. So it's a huge thing for shooting range protection. But you've got to get involved. If you don't know and you don't have the time to research, send me a note. I'll do it for you. I got no problem with that.
The NRA does it. The NRA does it already.
Right.
Like you said, the NRA I have taken the NRA choice list and I've actually edited it and I put it up in the NRA group I was talking about a few minutes ago. For the people in my area, they do not take and put it out for the public at large. That's the one thing I will say that I kind of disagree with, but that's fine. I make sure that John Q. Public knows who the NRA supports. If you don't want to take the time, get involved, ask me or Mike. Contact us on Facebook. I'm not invisible. I'm very, very visible. So is Mike.
Yep.
We'll help you out. We'll figure it out.
The next thing that they're talking about going after is the thing that Jim and I both love, reloading. They're talking about not only in California, they've had a couple bills that have been presented, but they're talking about through Congress going after reloading, going after the individual components, going after the primers, and having the ATF relabel them as dangerous weapons. So that means it's a federal tax stamp to get primers. It's not a joke, folks. If you think it is, then go back to '93 and remember what happened back then. We all thought it was a joke then. It wasn't a joke. They railroaded Dianne Feinstein's Brady bill through, and they signed it, and they made our lives not much fun for 10 years.
The assault weapons ban in '94.
Yep. Everybody who started hearing about it in '93 when they first introduced it.
Sorry,
you cut out.
Okay, something locked up. Mike, I didn't get you into a tirade. If I upset you or anything, forgive me. But no, you done good, brother. As far as I'm concerned, you're preaching to the choir.
Well, I want to make sure that the people know that this is serious. We're not conspiracy people. We're not nut jobs sitting here with tinfoil hats. We're just regular people who own firearms and love owning them. But we, as firearms owners, whether that's hunters or people who go out to the range, first off, we all got to stick together. There's no such thing as, oh well, I just deer hunt. You're a firearms owner, and it's time to step up.
Wait a minute, Mike. Wait a minute. As far as the Second Amendment goes, it says being the security of a free state being that. Oh, I'm embarrassed. I know this. The security of a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Correct.
Anyway, the point is, the word is that four-letter word, arms, A-R-M-S, as in anything with an edge, anything that you can use with an edge. Talking swords, blades, saws, whatever you want to call, or even your crossbow, or your compound bow, your broadheads. All those things can be used as weapons. All these things are at risk.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into it too much more because Mike was trying his best to sign off, but
well, no,
this is
an important thing.
Yep.
So
I've been trying to stay away from the politics because, like I told Mike, if I get into politics, all I usually wind up doing is making people angry at me.
I have that same problem. So this is
Mike's not at me yet.
Consider this our political rant, folks.
That's right. That's right.
So,
all right.
How was shooting
Mike,
today?
Do you have anything else?
Did you go out shooting today?
I didn't go. No, sir. Oh, that's that. Well, that's a little tidbit we ought to consider adding. Is like, what did you do to protect the Second Amendment, or what did you do in Guns and Reloading, or something like that?
I think just like you do with the reloading room with your post, we'll just, what did you do in reloading and firearms? So
there you go. Well, what I did today was I bought I wish I had a darn webcam. I bought a Remington gun cleaning kit with the new Blaze Orange rubber squeegees. They look a little bit like earplugs, but what this is, it's a rubbery squeegee that you actually pull through your bore as a last step. But the whole kit was $50 at the show. It retails for $58.95, but you can use it for shotgun, or you can use it for long gun or handgun. It comes with everything. Plus, I also bought another kit I bought was the frog lube kit. I bought some frog lube too while I was at the show. Yeah, between the two kits, I spent nearly $100. But they're two together, and it's like the Remington kit comes with cables to pull the brushes through, and it's kind of neat because you no longer use cotton patches. This kit, there's no patch eye per se. The cleaning jag and so on and so forth that you're accustomed to and seeing, it's used on a cleaning rod, but you don't pull patches through.
Okay.
The cleaning kit that I bought, it comes with a nice little table mat to keep the table from getting contaminated with the solvents and so forth. But I think between the two kits, the frog lube kit and the Remington kit, I think I'm well covered as far as cleaning equipment goes. I have a nice Midway kit, but I wound up making it into a range box with my cleaning rods and such in case I ever get a stuck bullet in the barrel or anything like that.
Yeah.
I never go to the range without that range kit. But I put a picture up in last week's "What Did You Do in Guns and Reloading Today" thread, and I'll take that same picture and put it in this week's thread, just so that folks know what I'm talking about. All right.
Sounds good, and I'll put a link to that Remington reloading kit and the on the
cleaning
show notes. The Remington cleaning kit. I've found throughout the years there's no such thing as too many cleaning kits. I've got an Otis kit in my bag. I've got a kit that I got when I joined North American Hunting Club as a lifetime member. They sent me a breakdown kit that's in a little carry pack, so I've got a cleaning rod if I do have a squib, I can use that to push the bullets out. I've got 3 or 4 regular cleaning kits, including one of the nice wood boxes that's got the little braces that set up so you can set the rifle on it.
Gun cleaning and reloading, gun cleaning and gunsmithing, gunsmithing and reloading, those things go together like hands in glove. You know, no competent gunsmith doesn't know reloading, at least a little bit about reloading. No competent reloader doesn't know anything about gunsmithing. You just the two fields overlap in so many ways. You know, Mike used the term early on in the podcast we haven't gotten into yet called headspace. Gunsmiths know headspace. Well, reloaders better know headspace, but that's for another time.
Yep. Oh, that is a nice kit. I just got that kit up. It's a nice, comes with a nice bag and everything.
Yes, sir. Green.
Yep.
Remington green. With black trim and so forth, black zippers.
Yeah.
And I also got the frog lube kit.
Okay.
And it smells like wintergreen. It's got actually solvent and so on and so forth. And it's got solvent and it's got bore treatment. And supposedly it actually can reach the friction coefficient of the copper against the steel of the bore. What are you grinning about, Mike? You must have seen it.
No, you're talking about the frog lube, and it reminded me of what is it? The ones that the cleaner that the gun dudes use, and they're always talking about.
I don't know.
They're always talking about how it's got it doesn't have an odor, and then Stan will always pop and go, and it's tasteless too. So
it must be frog lube, because I actually saw a guy take a little frog lube, the paste, put a little tiny bit on his finger, and he immediately licked his finger and says, "Tastes like wintergreen." It's like, wow. That was a little strong for me.
That's funny.
Yeah, those gun dudes, them boys ain't right.
Oh, they are hilarious, though.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
All right. Well, I think that'll about do it for this week's show. And thanks for tuning in again. Sorry if you were looking forward to another full episode of Reloading, but NRA annual meeting is a big thing. We definitely wanted to cover that. We wanted to talk about C. Rodney James and his new possible project coming up, and how we in the Reloading community can have an input into that. So we thank you for tuning in. And
wait,
yep.
Mike, 1 second, please. Forgive me. I forgot to take and make mention of the fact that Mr. James has asked us to help him, but bear in mind, I know ahead of time that Mr. James and their publisher will probably be making a profit from the feedback we give him. But that doesn't mean, that means nothing to you and I, John Q. Public. But I just trying to make sure that everyone knows that I understand that by telling you this. And at the same time, I don't, because I like the idea of becoming part of Reloading history.
Right. That is definitely.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Oh no, I definitely needed to be added in there.
Yeah, the qualifier needs to be put in there that, I understand Mr. James has asked me to give him a freebie. Well, you know what? So be it. I don't mind.
Well, anything else you've got to add there, sir?
No, sir. I apologize for cutting you off when you were just about to sign off, but please go right ahead.
That was, like I said, anytime that's something important that's got to be added, by all means. So, all right. I thank you all for tuning in, and you all have a good week, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks.
See you later, guys.